Okay, keep that in mind. There are no free lunches in this world. There is no easy way to make money. If you're a fan of somebody like I think it's Alex Hermazi, okay, who's pretty well respected in the influence community. If you go and you listen to him, you will actually hear him say something that is very contradictory to a lot of the gurus and influencers out there, and that is there is no such thing as passive income. Okay, any income requires some amount of effort, even if you're investing in stocks or mutual funds or other types of things like this. You still have to do some due diligence before you make your investment, and then you're going to do some monitoring of those investments. So at the end of the day, there is no free lunch. There is no such thing as a completely passive income. So having said that, if you have that kind of, if you came into that kind of money, the very first thing I would do is get it into a, and again, let me first preface this by saying I am not a financial advisor. I'm not providing financial advice. But if I had inherited or was given $100,000, first thing I would do is get it into a money market, because money markets are paying them most right now, and you can start earning interest while you figure out what your next steps are in terms of what you might want to do that, whether it's investing it, starting a business, whatever it might be. But I can't give you direct advice because again, I'm not a financial advisor. But if I had, if I had received that kind of money, and if I was a younger person, first place would be a mutual fund. Second thing to keep in mind, just in terms of anybody who has money, and I have friends sometimes who contact me about things like this. Just be aware. There's, the internet's full of scammers, And if anybody tries to talk you out of, control of your money, that is usually your first red flag. So, and I can talk about things like digital marketing agencies, Amazon's fulfillment service, where you sell your products on Amazon. I can tell to you about affiliates. I've done it all over my lifetime, explored it all over my lifetime. Fortunately, I've been, fortunate that I've been working in corporate America for, like I said, nearly 30 years, and I was able to, have time on my side and a few dollars here and there to be able to spend on educational courses and things of this nature. But at the end of the day, no matter what you get involved in, understand that it's going to take time, it's going to take effort, it may take some money and financial commitment as well, and there are no free lunches. It's just that simple. Okay? If anybody tries to convince you otherwise, well, chances are they're trying to scam you out of your money. So be careful. Any other questions, comments out there? Yeah, affiliate marketing is an interesting business or an interesting endeavor a lot of people get into. It's very popular, obviously, on TikTok, but, there's two things to keep in mind when it comes to affiliate marketing. Number one, from my personal experience, I got a bit scammed in a scenario, if you will, which was not obviously not very enjoyable. And what I mean is there's a lot of companies who use affiliates, especially in any of the supplement space, that are very, very shady. Now, I would say that the TikTok platform is one of the better opportunities in terms of affiliate marketing and earning your commissions, because it's a closed ecosystem in which the seller and the affiliates are all basically connected and being managed by TikTok. And that's actually a really good thing, because that means that TikTok is handling and managing the transactions, and they understand that a transaction, a sale came from you or through somebody you were connecting to as an audience, and therefore you get the appropriate credit for it. But there's other platforms out there, and I'm not going to name them, but I can tell you that in some cases these other platforms are very, very shady, and then the vendors that are on these platforms are also extremely shady. So Um, Personal experience, I would. Um, it's not a bad thing to do on a platform like TikTok, but what you also have to understand that a lot of people don't want to tell you on these platforms is that if you work on Monday and you sell some stuff, great. You've earned some money on Monday. You're not going to see it for a while, and you're going to also be subjected to something called chargebacks. Okay, chargebacks is very simple. You sell $100 worth of a product on Monday. Okay, you get a 10% commission on that. That's $10. And on Wednesday or Friday, one of those sales decides to either cancel or return the product. Well, guess what? That is going to be charged back against you. So that $10 thought you were going to get, you are no longer going to get. You're going to get some percentage of that, some small percentage of it, based on whatever that chargeback is. The other thing is if you don't manage your account properly, okay, and you're of not legal age probably to enter into contracts and things of this nature, you are risking yourself getting banned. And if you get banned, they're going to keep your money. The other thing is that if you're on something like TikTok and you're selling, great. Well, you take a day off, and guess what happens? You didn't make any money probably for the day you took off, or worse, you are finding your groove on a specific product and you're doing really well with it. You're making some good money, right? And then lo and behold, that company decides to either A, go out of business, happens all the time, or B, the product is no longer available. Or, like it happens in many, many cases, the product gets knocked off by many counterfeiters out there. And so now, instead of that being the only type of product in the market to fulfill that specific need or want, you now have 10 different competitors out there, typically all lowering the price, lowering the quality. And so now you're in a highly competitive situation, and your income is going to take a big hit. So it's not very stable. The people who are making probably the most consistent money in that platform, around that platform, anything related to affiliate, are the ones who are trying to sell you their course. Look at me, look how well I'm doing. And also keep in mind, and this is advice for anybody who's listening out there, it is so easy to manipulate a web screen. Okay, you can do it anytime you want. All you got to do is go into your editing tools within your browser, and you can change any number that is being displayed on a web page that looks like it's official, coming from any platform. Okay, you can do it to bank account browsers. You can do it to Amazon browsers. You can do it to TikTok browsers. You can do it to anything. Okay, all it is once it hits your desktop, it's in essence is static text. Okay, that's being processed by the browser's engine, if you will. And so because of that, if you go in there and you can make a change, and you've got access to the developer tools, which pretty much everybody does, you can change, a dollar figure from being $1, GMV to 10,000 GMV. Okay, so just be aware there are a lot of scams out there. That was way off track, but happy to answer the questions. So if you got other questions, comments, drop them into chat, and I'm happy to try to answer them for you. Questions, comments, drop them in chat. Ask me anything. Ask Joe, career and business advice for the AI era. You're worried about job layoffs? Let's talk about what you need to do and how important soft skills are going to be moving forward versus the hard skills. Questions, comments, drop them in chat. Happy to have a conversation. So is anybody software developer, software engineer, anybody out there concerned about getting laid off come Monday morning since today's Sunday? Anybody excited about the Super Bowl? I'm a Bears fan and was disappointed to see them get knocked out. They were doing pretty well this year. Anybody tried launching Claude Code? Actually, I'm sorry, not Claude Code. Claude Bot, also known as Moltbot, also known as OpenClaw. Its name's changed a few times. That's a pretty good indication that you may not want to fully trust that code base. Again, if you get questions, comments, drop them in. Let's have a conversation. So again, my name is Joe. I go by Solutions Joe. How about a little clap? Hello, Jason. Welcome. If you have any questions, comments, drop them into chat and happy to try to answer them for you. The topics: career, business, AI. Myself, my name's Joe. I'm a solutions architect. Been working in the tech industry for nearly 30 years and have weathered a lot of storms over those years in order to stay employed. Some of that was involving kind of reinventing myself, or at least adding some value add to my current roles or my existing roles at any point in time with my employer, to make myself stand out instead of blend in. This goes back to my little mantra that I have in today's world. You want to stand out, do not blend in. Okay. Think of yourself as a zebra among elks. Stand out, because if you don't, all those elks, they're going to get slaughtered. Going to get slaughtered through layoffs. We've already seen it. Again, this past January, 108,000 layoffs were announced across many different companies, many different industries, much of which is being blamed on the implementation of AI. So you want to avoid that horror. And then make yourself stand out and not blend in. It says, how do you have what you really have? So that's a great question. How do you have 2,500 subs, but you barely have any viewers in this live? So we are streaming actually on multiple platforms, streaming on YouTube, long and short, streaming on X, as well as streaming on TikTok. Because there's no guarantees in life, right? It's just that simple. And have to understand that when it comes to an audiences, you have to find your audiences where your audience are. You have to find your audience where your audience is at, is part of the concept, right? Plenty of people are happy with kind of passive consumption of content. Plenty of people will subscribe to your channel if you've got some value that you're offering, right? And then with lives, of course, that's a whole different story. That's more of a active participation and interactive participation, as well as, we have an appointed kind of time here for them to take action. So it's a different concept. Those two things do not translate, a one for one. You can see that on any of the platforms, TikTok, YouTube. You can see that somebody might have a large number of subscribers, but when they go live, it's a different audience, and it can be a very small number. I like doing lives personally because I actually enjoy answering questions and providing some insight, especially kind of off the cuff. Again, I've done solutions architecting for nearly 30 years in the enterprise software space, worked in Silicon Valley. I have a broad problem-solving background, and I am a little bit older than I look. I don't say that to be vain. I just have a fair amount of experience, and I do like to share it with people. And I am working on building up social media channels for really what I see as the AI era that has already started and is going to have a significant impact on all of us, whether you like it or not. So if I can do something to help others, as well as, to be perfectly honest, help myself with personal branding, that is what I'm here for. So you got questions, comments, drop them in. Happy to answer. You got anything else, Jason? So questions, comments, drop them in. Let's have a conversation. And if you're on live, or I'm sorry, if you're on X, you should be able to use live chat to say hello or to drop a comment or a question. I should be able to see it as well, and I will do my best to answer it. So I just tested that, and yep, your chats will come through on X to my consolidated chat window that I have so that I can see them. Questions, comments? So one of the more interesting things that I heard last week came from, actually it was the week before, came from Mark Zuckerberg during his earnings call, where he said point blank that they have managed to go from what used to be a 100-person team down to a single-person team, accomplishing the same amount of productivity and output that 100-person team did. How were they able to achieve this? His words, not mine. One smart person working along with AI was able to accomplish this same productivity output that the 100 people were. So if that does not give you some pause and concern, especially if you work a keyboard job, then you're living in a fantasy world. So if you got questions, comments, drop them. I'm happy to try to answer them for you, give you some insight. Perhaps how do you make yourself more valuable at work? Well, I can tell you a few things. Number one, focus on your soft skills, okay? The hard skills are going to be taken care of by AI. It's just that simple. So focus on improving your soft skills. Now, what are examples of soft skills? The number one soft skill is very simple: communication. Now, communication comes in different forms, whether it is written expression or whether it's a verbal expression or presentations or things of this nature. But it's not about just communicating when you're put on the spot. in terms of a presentation or something of this nature, it's about going above and beyond uh, proactive communication. The other soft skill that's really important is getting out of your domain bubble, right? So, what's your domain bubble? Well, if you're a software developer, software engineer, you live in a bubble, okay? And that's a tech bubble, it's a software stack bubble. You need to get yourself out of that bubble and you need to expand your domain of expertise or at least understanding into business, okay? And what does that mean? It means that business overrides tech stack, okay? Business overrides software stack. What matters to business is what is going to be the ROI, the return on investment for the work that we're putting in. How quickly can we get it done? Because 6 weeks is not going to cut it anymore. Okay, you better get new features and functions delivered in a week to 2 weeks, not the 6 weeks. And then you've got other things that you can throw in there in terms of being able to speak in the business language. Okay. These are key benefits, huge benefits that are all around soft skills that will make you stand out, okay, and not blend in. And again, with the AI era, you want to stand out. You don't want to blend in. Blending in means you're going to get slaughtered with all the other elks out there. Instead, be that zebra that stands out, okay? Any other questions, comments? Drop them in there. If the person is still out there who asked the question about the subs and the number of viewers, which was Jason, here's the question. Here's the question I would ask. And I have asked myself this question as I'm building up more personal branding. I see some folks, online, TikTok, YouTube, whatever it might be, that seem to have a very dry, benign, product or presence. Yet they have a lot of active audience members. Ask yourself the why on that one, right? Again, it's about connecting with your audience, and regardless of what the topic or subject is, you have people who are skilled in that in all areas. So if you got questions, comments, drop them in. Let's have a conversation. What are you guys more interested in? This would be the question that I would ask to my audience in general. Are you interested in more tactical how-tos? How do I do X or Y? Or are you interested more in strategy and theoretical? That is the key question I ask myself in terms of content creation. Any thoughts on that from anybody? questions, comments? So again, my name is Joe. I'm a solutions architect. You can call me Solutions Joe. You got questions, comments related to career, business, AI, drop them. Happy to have a conversation. Questions, comments, drop them in. Let's keep it going. Okay, so my name is Joe, Solutions Joe, and I can see we got a number of people in here. So you got questions, comments, feel free to drop them into chat there. I'm happy to try to address them. My name, again, is Solutions Joe. I'm a solutions architect for nearly 30 years in the enterprise software space, talking about all things AI and how the AI era is going to be pretty devastating across the various job roles, especially if you're working on a keyboard most of the day. We're talking about career and business and what you might be able to do to shore up your own career and or from a business perspective where you might leverage AI in that. So drop a comment, drop a question. I'm happy to try to address it for you. Let's go. We are streaming on multiple platforms. We're streaming on TikTok, X, YouTube. I can see pretty much all the chats coming in from all the different platforms. So you got questions, comments. Let's go. Who's out on the YouTube Shorts? Who's on YouTube Shorts viewing me? Give a wave. Drop an emoji. Say hello. I will shout you out. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. That's the number one. That is the number one thing not to do in the AI era. What's that you say? I say don't be shy. Don't be timid in the AI era. Why? Because you're going to want to stand out. You're not going to want to blend in. If you think about a herd of elks, you want to be the zebra among those elks. So you stand out. So when your management's looking, who are they going to lay off? Are they going to lay off the masses of the elks? Or are they going to lay off that lead zebra that's standing out? And when I say standing out, of course, I mean standing out in a good way, in a positive way, right? So we're going to try to fire up, let's try to fire up TikTok again, and let's see if we can pull some more viewers in there. So questions, comments, drop them in, give a wave, say hello, don't be shy. Is everybody having a good Sunday? Getting ready for the Super Bowl? I think a lot of people use the Super Bowl as an excuse to eat a lot and drink a lot. And that's okay. I'm here for that too. How's your Sunday going? Let me know. Are you stressed out? Considering tomorrow's Monday, back to work for most people, especially those who are keyboard warriors. Say hello. Say hello. Let me know you're out there. So let's talk about what I see in terms of the AI era. I'm going to kick back in my chair a little bit, and I'm going to tell you that I've been using AI in its various functions, features, incarnations for the last 2.5 years. And being that I am a tech person and been in the tech business for over 30 years, I can tell you firsthand, okay? So this is not hyperbole. This is not conspiracy. This is reality. I have never seen a technology in my lifetime, nor previous lifetime, in terms of the history of the world, that has evolved so quickly, beyond the expectations, far beyond the expectations of most people, including those who are involved in actually creating the technology. Now, if that doesn't sound a bit scary, well, here's something that might scare you, is when you have a conversation with, or you listen to the conversations from the smartest people in the room, the Sam Altmans and some of the others who are involved in the development of AI, and specifically the models and the inferencing that is occurring with these models. One of the very interesting things you'll hear them actually admit to is that at a certain point in time in the process of AI, okay, and let me break down what inference is. So first of all, my name's Joe. I'm a solutions architect. I go by Solutions Joe. I like to try to simplify things to provide an easy understanding for folks who may or may not be technical. So when I say the word inference, think of it the same as when you, as a human being, are thinking about something, okay? So if I give you a task, or I give you several words in a sentence and I want you to complete that sentence, right? You are going to spend a little time thinking about that, right? Well, an AI model does pretty much the same thing. And that process is called inference. And through inference, it determines what the result is going to be. Now, the inference result is a black box. And that's another kind of term in the tech world that gets thrown out a lot that folks don't fully understand. So let me explain to you what a black box is. A black box basically is we don't know, okay? You open up a black box, look inside, what's inside? It's a black box. We don't really know what's going on inside of that box. Now, in some cases, we use that term in the technical world to try to communicate to another architect or developer that you don't need to worry about this piece, right? So if you're integrating with my piece, consider my piece a black box, meaning you don't need to worry about it. Everything, we're going to handle everything for you, okay, in terms of this particular type of integration, and therefore just don't worry about it, and we'll take care of it. Well, the reality is when it comes to the inference process for these AI models, more and more of the, again, smart people in the room are confirming and admitting they do not fully understand what is occurring in terms of the inference process, how the neural networks are actually working and coming up with the answers and the results that they are, much like the human brain, which is why I keep going back to the reality is that if you're really trying to understand what AI is and kind of how it works, first thing you need to think about is a human being. How do we work? How do we learn? How do we develop from a very early age as a baby and begin to evolve in terms of our intelligence? It's through experiences, right? Both visual, audio, physical, touch, right? And the more we do this, the more we learn. And the more we learn, the more we save in our brain so that the next time, a small child sees a hot stove and they've touched it once, they realize not to touch it again, right? Because it's likely going to be painful. These are all very similar concepts that are useful to understand in the world of AI and how models are first trained. Okay, there is the initial AI training, then you've got fine tuning that can occur, and ultimately when you have a model that is ready for deployment in terms of a production world, you're going to have an inference. Okay, and so when you are using any of these models and you're using them either via chat or via a voice mode or any other mechanism, what you're actually doing is it's actually running an inference behind the scenes, taking in your information, your prompt, and then determining what the result is to give you through that inference process. So now you know. Now you know in a very high level and a very simplified way what is going on with these AI models. And you also know that a lot of the folks who are involved in this process don't fully understand it themselves. And again, if that does not concern you a bit, well, then you're not paying very close attention. So if you got questions, comments, drop them in and let's have a conversation. Who's out there? And where are you from? Let's play a game. Who is the farthest from me? So I'm in Chicago, Illinois, in the United States. About 5 miles due north of the Hancock Building or the main downtown area. So who out there is the furthest away from me? Drop your locations, just your general locations. Let's see how far the audience is coming, where you're coming from. Drop it in chat. Oh, I see somebody is in London. Wow. I got another person from Germany. Well, that's interesting. A couple of Europeans. Australia. Well, that's interesting too. Who else is out there? Got anybody in the United States? I don't see anybody from the United States. Another Mexico, Canada. Anybody else? Anybody from the United States? Okay, you got questions, comments, drop them into chat. I'm happy to try to answer them for you. Need some little career advice? Need some insight on what's going on with AI? How to make yourself more valuable at work in the AI era? Stressing out about going back to work on Monday? Drop it in chat. Let's see if we can help you out. And for anybody who's on TikTok, if you want to have a live conversation, let me know. I'll pull you in as a guest. Although I will let you know that then everybody can hear you on all the different platforms that we're streaming on. How about a little drum roll? Questions, comments, drop them in the chat. Let's see if I can get you an answer. Again, we are streaming across all these different channels. Perhaps I'll type that in. Streaming across YouTube, TikTok, and X. Questions, comments, drop them. Let's have a chat. I see somebody just dropped a late comment. They're from, where's that? Oh, Quebec. Not too far. Okay, questions, comments, drop them into the chat. I'm happy to try to answer them for you. Questions about career, business advice, the AI era, how to avoid yourself from getting potentially laid off because of AI. 108,000 job layoffs announced in January, many due to AI implementation. You have questions or comments about it? Drop a question or drop a comment, and I will do my best to answer it for you. Again, my name is Joe. I work in the tech industry, been working in the tech industry for nearly 30 years, managed to weather most of the big storms that have swept through the tech industry for the last 30 years, whether it's the financial crisis, .com boom, .com bust, outsourcing, AI, you name it. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what you can do in the era of AI to make yourself more valuable at work. Or if you have a business, how can you potentially use AI to lower your cost, drive more sales? After all, that's what it's about. If you got a business, there's only two things you're concerned about: more revenue, lower cost. That's all that matters. You got questions, comments, drop them in. Let's have a conversation. It's kind of interesting. The internet, it's such a safe and comforting place for so many people. And then you've got the trolls, the occasional troll that will wander in to your stream that apparently is struggling with their own feelings and they need to lash out. Sad but true. So you got questions, comments, drop them in. I know there's a lot of anger out there when it comes to AI, a lot of fear. If you're concerned or fearful of AI, drop your comments, questions. I'm happy to try to distill it for you, whether it's related to your job or whether it's related to your business. I see that somebody just dropped a little chat or a little comment. Let's see. I will read it to myself first because you never know. Is it a troll or is it not? That's interesting. So the comment, it's a reasonable comment. It's a business comment. Apparently somebody's grandmother's business is getting sued for $10,000. And there's another company that wants to buy that company. But it sounds like maybe she did not want to sell. Can you give us any insight in terms of what type of company it is? And I will say this, in this day and age of everybody thinking and they are a guru of some sort online. And of course, you probably, look at me going, well, are you a guru? No, I'm not a guru. I'm just an older gentleman who is now, after 30 years, has got a fair amount of experience in life and in business and surviving corporate America and want to share it. But what it boils down to is there are a lot of people who will start businesses not realizing there are very specific laws, especially in the United States, related to how you run your business and things around copyright, trademark infringement, and the list goes on and on. Proper licensing, being properly insured. So these are very important items to consider when you're starting a business. do it right. If you don't do it right, then you're going to have potentially concern. This friend is live now. Oh, interesting. Sorry, I'm looking at my TikTok platform, and it's quite interesting. I guess when I have friends who go live or people I'm connected with when they goes live, it's suggesting that I pull them in as co-host. So if you're on TikTok and you want to have a voice conversation, let me know. I'm happy to pull you in as a guest, and we can have that conversation. We're talking about all things AI. We're talking about career and business. We're talking about advice to survive the AI era, okay? Because it is real. 108,000 job layoffs announced in January, much of which is being blamed on the AI era and the AI implementation. Again, my name's Joe, solutions architect. Been in the tech industry for nearly 30 years. I've weathered a lot of storms. That includes layoffs of all sorts and sizes. I do have a comment here I'm going to jump back to, coming in from another platform. So this is somebody who's was talking about their grandmother's business being sued. Seems like the business is for signs. Not sure if the lawsuit is still happening or if it's paid. But she's not gave me any info, so I need to really not worry about anything. Okay, not gonna lie, but your channel is pretty good. Well, thank you, I appreciate that. It's a work in progress, right? And whether it's me or any of the other creators out there of any kind, any positive feedback is always appreciated, and it's just kind of that little extra oomph that creators need sometimes to understand that they are connecting with some people, and it takes time. It takes time for the algorithms to figure things out and to learn and to get you in front of the right people. So I absolutely appreciate that. Appreciate the hearts on TikTok. It means a lot. Again, it's a journey. So if you got any other questions, feel free to let me know. So the businesses in the UK, interesting. I'm not familiar, certainly not familiar with the laws in the UK in terms of things like copyright and lawsuits and things of that nature. In the United States, anybody can pretty much sue anybody for anything, right? That's just kind of the way that it works. It's unfortunate, but that is the way it works. So whoever has the most money basically wins. So that's the type of situation that the United States is in. So you're 16. I would say that don't underestimate your value to your grandmother. I'm sure just being able to listen to her and support her in any way that you can is probably hugely beneficial. Have you ever worked in that business, with her or for her? I started working myself in my family's business back when I was about 12 years old. We had back then it was called a dime store. Today it's basically a department store. It's much smaller than you would think in terms of department stores. It's not like a Walmart size department store. It's a fraction of that size. But I started working when I was about 11 or 12 years old. Worked all the way through my teenage years. I've always been very blessed to be around an entrepreneurial family. So I do see some other questions coming in. What's going on, Joe? I'm Brinks from Maryland. Hello, Brinks from Maryland. I am from Chicago, Illinois. Any advice? Any advice on what, Tyler? If you got a specific question, I'm happy to address. And then I see Brinks 33, about to get into tech with help desk, and my goal is to become a GRC analyst. And how long should I be on the help desk? So help desks are really good. It's a really good way to get started. You know why? Because there is no better way to learn a product or an area of tech than to have to deal with the problems. And as you deal with the problems that are coming in from users from all different levels, and having to be responsible for providing the educational how-to on resolving those problems, you'll learn a lot along those ways. The most valuable time I've spent in my career, even as a solutions architect and in the tech industry, I've worked for some smaller companies and for very, very large companies. And then when I say large, I'm talking about multi-billion-dollar companies. But the smaller companies, we as consultants and as solutions architects often had to play multiple roles, and some of those roles involved educational roles, meaning we were trainers, and we'd go out and do the training and provide the education to our customers on the how to use the product. And that was some of the most valuable times that I had in terms of learning the product, because and that's actually one of the reasons why I'm kind of doing the whole social media and aspect here, is because part of my goal, and I've been doing this for 2.5 years in terms of deep learning on AI, is to be able to bring this to you guys in more tactical ways, not just strategic ways. And as I do, it will help me uncover and explore areas that I might have not previously been able to explore or uncover without some motivation of teaching others that same information. So the help desk, I think, is going to be an excellent value add for you. You're really going to learn a lot. Don't be afraid of it. Ask questions. And here's my advice, okay? Because that is also one of the areas that you're going to be seeing get automated, okay, through AI. I'm already seeing it. So what is going to be your advantage? So I've used this used this analogy a few times. I'll continue to use it. Be the zebra among elks, okay? So if you think about a herd of elks, you want to be the zebra among elks. And why do you want to do that? You want to stand out. In today's world of AI replacement, okay, you want to be the person that stands out to your management, so that your management can say, in your particular case, Brinks or Binks, we want to keep this person around. Why? Because she stands out. She asks the smart questions. She's not just interested in her role and her responsibility, but she's understanding and wanting to understand how she fits into the bigger picture. She is aggressive and motivated to implement more and more AI in her role and sharing that information with others. That makes you a value add. That makes you a value add far beyond everybody else standing around you. In this particular kind of example I'm giving, all the elks standing around, those are the ones who are going to be affected by the layoffs. When there's mass layoffs and they have to choose to keep one or two people around, they're going to be looking to keep the zebras around. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. It's I think you're going to enjoy it a lot. A couple other comments, questions. This is related to the business. Her company is, so this is somebody's grandmother's company who is getting sued. Her company is small, yet she works with some massive companies and wraps their vehicles and does their signs. Okay, very interesting. I've seen those types of businesses around, but I have no idea about the business world. Well, here's the amazing thing about AI. Okay, so don't be scared of AI. Understand what you can do as related to making yourself more valuable, okay, in your current role if you're employed. If you're not employed and you've got a business, how you can implement it within your business for your benefit, okay? But do not be afraid of it. So what is the biggest advantage of what is going on in this world as related to AI? I can tell you it is this concept, okay, of democratization of knowledge and skills. And if you listen to the smart people in the room, the Sam Altmans, no matter what you feel about him personally or otherwise, okay, and others who are in that position, this is why they're doing what they're doing. This is why they're pushing so hard on AI, because it's literally a democratization of skills and knowledge. Now, democratization is a big word, so let me just break it down as simple as I can possibly break it down. It simply means that instead of you being blocked from getting knowledge, or you being blocked from applying a skill, okay, that with AI, that blockage and the cost associated often with it, whether it's legal advice, financial advice, accounting advice, management advice, okay, it goes away, because the cost and the involvement, or the cost and the access to that knowledge is now going to be democratized, meaning everybody's going to have access to it. And as they continue to develop AI in the way that they are, soon these models will be able to run on our phones. This is something that they're working very, very hard on. And as they do so and they achieve that, you are going to have the smartest person or smartest entity in the world who has nearly all information in the world available to you in your pocket. And if that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will. Okay? So that's where I'm coming from. That's where I think the world is going to. You have questions, comments, drop them in. I will be happy to try to answer them. I do see some other information or comments coming through. So, Binks, I'm glad you appreciate the advice. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to assume gender. I said she. Sorry about that. And then someone's concerned about Jeffrey. We won't go into that one. This is definitely not a political channel or a news topical channel. And appreciate the hearts. Love the hearts. Thank you very much. See if you have questions, comments related to anything I can provide advice to you on, career related, business related, AI related. That is what I am here for. So again, my name is Joe. I go by Solutions Joe on pretty much all the social media handles that I am on. And we are streaming on multiple platforms. We are on TikTok. We are on YouTube, long and shorts. We are also on X. Someone has a name. Welcome. I cannot pronounce that name because it's SJD. So welcome. If you got questions, comments, drop them. Happy to answer. Business AI. Again, my name is Joe. I've been solutions architect and in the tech world for nearly 30 years. I've navigated a lot of ups and downs, a lot of storms, a lot of layoffs. And 2026 is going to be a crazy, crazy year for us. Let's see. Also, please ignore my username. I made this account ages ago. No worries. I'm glad you enjoyed the content, and if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in. But you are actually at a very exciting time. So if I got your age right, being 16, it's a very exciting time for you because you are entering an age in which the democratization of knowledge and skills has never been something that's been available before. And here's the crazy, crazy thought that they keep talking about. And when they first talked about it, and what I'm talking about is the folks who, again, I call the smartest people in the room when it comes to AI. They're talking about, the first single person, also known as a solopreneur, okay, which is a play on words of entrepreneur. They're talking about a solopreneur eventually being the first billion-dollar company. And how is that going to happen? Well, it's going to happen because all the tasks and the operational aspects, as well as things like marketing, billing, customer service, they're going to automate. They're going to automate through AI, okay, which they've already started doing. But a single company that starts from the ground up with this in place is going to have an advantage. And how soon or how long is it going to take before a single person is able to create and develop a business totally around AI and achieve revenue of $1 billion, or at least an evaluation of that business at $1 billion. I think it's coming sooner than later. I think it's probably going to be within the next maybe year, two at the very most, and maybe even sooner. So it's kind of crazy thoughts. Hello, Daniel. And if you have any questions, comments, feel free to drop in there. I will do my best to answer them. And welcome, Esmeralda. Is it Esmeralda? I like that name, actually, because it reminds me of one of my favorite shows that I grew up on, which is Bewitch, for anybody who's familiar with it. It holds lots of fond memories for me growing up on it. So, on those raps, raps have become very popular in the United States, especially especially with some of the vehicles like the Cybertruck from Tesla, right? That only came with one color, which was the stainless steel. Wraps kind of were going crazy for a while. I know here in Chicago, there were quite a few companies that were doing wraps and things. It's a very interesting concept. I think from a promotional perspective, right? If her business is responsible for wrapping for advertising purposes, promotional purposes, so I think that's pretty interesting business. I think it's got lots of opportunities for sure. The wrapping that I'm referring to, a lot of it that I saw and seen around is related to more aesthetics, right? Changing the color from stainless steel to all black or something of this nature. And I don't know how long those things last, but your $2,000 to $3,000 per vehicle, I think, is pretty accurate. I think I've heard people spend, at least $3,000 and things like that. Other questions, comments? Tabitha, welcome. If you have a question, comment, I'm happy to dive into it. And welcome, Elise, John. My name's Joe. Welcome. Talking about all things career, business, advice, AI era. My name's Joe. I have been in the solutions architect area of software for nearly 30 years. I see that we've got another question. Will Kimi be better than ChatGPT? Who's the company that's producing Kimi? It sounds like it might be a maybe a Chinese-based company. So I'm not familiar with it. To be clear, one of the things China. Okay. So I don't know offhand. I couldn't tell you for sure. Here's what I will tell you related to models that lots of people don't quite understand. So when it comes to models, they're not all created equal. Okay. So even under one umbrella, OpenAI as a company, not all their models are the same. Okay. They vary greatly, and that's true about all the major companies. So when people say, "Oh, I tried AI," and it gave me some weird answer or it hallucinated. Well, okay, yeah, that's great. But that's like saying I stopped some random person on the street, okay, and I asked them a question and they gave me an answer that didn't make any sense. Okay, you know nothing about that person, their background, their history, their context, their education, their experiences, and you're expecting to get some kind of answer out of them. So it's important to understand AI models are like people, okay? They have experiences, they have knowledge, they have specific domains that they've been trained on, and these are important concepts and constructs, if you will, to understanding how you interact with AI and what you're going to be able to get out of AI. So the more you understand that, the more you'll understand that you need to be more discerning in the AI model that you pick, even within the same company. So OpenAI is a perfect example. Their GPT, okay, ChatGPT, because that's what you were asking about, which is interesting, okay? They're up to version 5.2 now. Now, ChatGPT 5.2, right, is amazing. I've used it many times. I continue to use it. I use it for coding because it's what is basically powering the codex for coding from their platform. And it's amazing. Now, you compare that to the first version that came out 2.5 years ago, which I was all in on. You got some crazy hallucinations, and it was very, and it was very, it was very interesting. But bottom line is, AI is not all one thing, right? Just like human beings are not all one thing. And if you are having a hard time understanding AI within context, think of it as a person. I know that sounds a bit crazy, so call it a they. You don't have to call it him, her, whatever. You can just call it a they. But think of it as a person, and just as a person would have experiences and knowledge based on education, your AI in essence is the same. Okay, so it's not all created equal, and you can get quite a bit different experiences. Now, I will say that unfortunately, a lot of these platforms OpenAI being one of them as well. I pay for it, and therefore I have access to the most advanced models. And it makes a difference, but not everybody can afford to pay for it. And eventually, when they come out with new and more sophisticated models, they start making the previous models more available to the free levels and free accounts and things. So keep your eye open for that. Give it try that. And if you have any other questions, let me know. So I'm just looking at comments again here. Thanks for the follow. I really appreciate that. You look A1. I'm going to take that as a compliment. I don't understand it completely, but I will take that. Have you heard of the free healthcare using AI doctors? And thanks for the hearts. I really appreciate it. Yes. So this is going to be, I think, one of the, and let me first give you a little story. I have a sister who is a nurse. She's been a nurse for, I think, about 40 years. And her and I have lots of conversations around AI, and it's pretty interesting. So one of the biggest challenges with, at least in the United States, when it comes to healthcare, is goes back to that fancy word that I was using a little while ago, democratization of something. In this particular case, democratization of healthcare, meaning everyone having similar or at least as good as access to healthcare as everybody else, right? And AI is going to make that happen. No doubt about it. Now, AI, I've seen some AI models, and specifically OpenAI's, I think it was actually 5.1, GPT 5.1 when they came out with it, had some really, really high scores when it came to health and medical questions. And the doctors who were involved in some of the initial presentations on that stuff really were quite blown away by the sophistication of the AI model, specifically 5.1 and later, and how it was able to address. So here's what's going to happen. Everybody's going to end up with a doctor in their pocket, okay? As we move towards these models that don't have to be connected to the internet, okay? Or even if they are connected to the internet, but they're on your phone, we are going to move to a world in which we're going to have a lawyer in our pocket. We're going to have a doctor in our pocket. We're going to have a business consultant in our pocket. And these are not going to be, toys. These are going to be the source of information, the source of knowledge, and the expertise that far outweighs anything that any human being on this planet has. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but it just is what I believe and what I'm seeing rapidly evolve. So I got a few other questions coming in here. Let me see. Give me just 1 second. So let's see. I'm going to call you AR because that's, I'm just going to leave it at that. I know what the other numbers mean, but I'm going to leave it at that. Let's see. And she does characters and writing on it, sort of. Every time I use it, it says some dumb stuff. But I use Copilot AI. So again, that's a perfect example, right? So if you have the opportunity, okay, try to use the more later releases on the models, right? If you can afford it, go spend the $20 a month or so on the OpenAI, and then take advantage of those advanced models, 5.1, 5.2. I think you'll see that there's a tremendous difference in terms of your experience. Also, one of the things I'll call out to everybody, and I think this is really important from an AI perspective, is that it's really important to understand not all AI models are alike, but here's the thing. There are some companies, Microsoft being one of them, okay, they are wrapping their solution, which is Copilot, okay, around other AI models. So Microsoft at the moment, to my knowledge, does not have a specific AI model that they are delivering, okay? So I use Copilot actually in my day-to-day work, okay? But underlying that is the AI model. And in this particular case, in my implementation that my company has, it's actually the OpenAI model, and I get access to the GPT 5.1. And when I do that, I get a very good experience, okay? Now, if you're ever unsure, okay, of what you are using when it comes to AI, in other words, either the model version or you're using something like Copilot, which is basically a wrapper to the AI models, and you're not sure what either platform you're using in terms of the AI model, the LLM, the version, ask it, okay? This is where I talk about you need to move to an AI thinking first. What do I mean by that? When you run into a problem, when you run into a challenge, when you are thinking about something and you feel stuck, think AI first, right? I got a little, hopefully we're still on TikTok, guys. There was a little bit of apparently glitch in the stream, so hopefully everybody's still there. So what do I mean by thinking about AI first? What I'm talking about is this, is in that perfect example, and this is AR coming from YouTube. If you're not sure what model you're using, okay, you ask it. Say, hey, what model are you using? What LLM are you using, and who is it from? And it will tell you where that model is from and the version. Okay, that's the best thing to do. Random question: how does a green screen work? does it look green, or is it like your background you said for you? So the green screen actually doesn't make a difference what the color is. This is an off-site topic, but I'm also a creative, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing these platforms. So green screen is basically my green screen is actually green. Okay. But you can use a blue screen, and the thing is that depending on the software that you're using, the software allows you to basically knock out that color and make it transparent, and then whatever you have behind that in the layers of your software. Okay, in my case, it's this little image that I have up here. Okay, and I created that little image with AI. Okay, based on some of the latest and greatest headlines that are going on, and so I throw that in my OBS studio, and that's how I'm streaming. So that's where that comes from. I'm going to try to catch up on some questions and comments in TikTok here. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, don't be scared of AI. Let's see. Appreciate the comment, Chrome. Thank you very much. That's going to be good or scary. Rab, what were you referring to? What if they start having these built-in ChatGPT, et cetera, models built into robots? Yeah, I mean the whole robot thing. It's very, very interesting, right? Because then you're dealing with things in the real world, IRL, right? In real life. That is honestly not an area of my expertise, right? I know software, I know systems, I know solutions, I know how to take a problem and kind of break it down into its components. And I've dabbled in so many different things in my life in terms of, the internet, promise of, freedom and finances and income and all the other garbage and stuff out there that I can speak to a lot of it. But when it comes to robots, I am not a mechanical engineer. And I was excited, and I forget the name of the company, but there was a company that came out, I would say probably a month and a half ago, that came out with a video showing a autonomous human robot, right? And it was amazing. I watched the video. I saw this thing doing dishes, doing clothes, answering the door, getting the person a drink or whatever it was, and I was blown away. Then my critical thinking kicked in, right? And that's what I am, or who I am, because I'm science-based, fact-based, etc. So my critical thinking kicked in, started doing some research, found the various outtakes in terms of the creation of that specific video. So it was a marketing video, right? And when you looked at the reality compared to what they were trying to show you in marketing, it was a very different experience in terms of what you were seeing, right? It was clumsy. It wasn't nearly smooth as it was. So I have a whole lot less concerns about that. And that's, I know there are some very prominent people and very rich people in this world who would have you believe that, robots are going to be, our best friends in the next 6 months or whatever. I don't see it. I don't believe it. What I think is going to happen is you're certainly going to have more and more robots that are going to be deployed, and they already are, right? You can go and do some searching and look at the Amazon warehouses and some of the other large logistic companies, and you can see how many robots are being deployed in these kinds of environments. Now, I think that, of course, is going to be the first deployment of these at scale. Do I see them in everybody's homes? Personally, I don't. Largely because the cost is going to be prohibitive probably for quite some time. I'm going to take a look at questions and comments again here real quickly. You're welcome, mate. Appreciate that. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm caught up on questions and comments. If you have any questions and comments, feel free to drop them in. Happy to keep the conversation going. Anybody on TikTok, if you want to have a voice conversation, let me know. Happy to pull you in and as a guest. But definitely 2026, I think, is going to be crazy. I've been saying this for a while now, and I think, we're only through January, just barely into February. So it really is going to be very interesting to see how 2026 plays out for us all, for sure. I think the governments are going to have to step in and address the issues that large AI deployments are going to raise for folks. Because at the end of the day, if everybody's jobs are taken, especially keyboard jobs, which are high-paying jobs, then where's the money going to come to pay the plumbers, the electricians, all the skilled labor that others are saying, you should pivot to in terms of your jobs and careers and things. So lots of interesting questions. I appreciate everybody's questions and comments. Really good conversations. I think, excuse me, I think I'm going to wrap it up. It is about 5 p.m. in Chicago. I'll give it a couple minutes. Any other questions, comments out there? Feel free to drop them. Okay, mate. It's getting late there. You take care. AR, thank you very much. Appreciate the information or the conversation, and you have a good night. And I used to spend a lot of time in London for work back in the early 2000s, actually. Love London, actually. I think you said you're from the UK. So have a good night. Appreciate it. And anybody else got questions, comments? Give it a couple more minutes. Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. Hopefully everyone can have a good night. If you're in the United States, perhaps you're going to watch the Super Bowl. And I will let everybody go. Thanks again. Have a good night. Bye-bye.